Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Natalia Schneimiller. I help boy moms eliminate all the fighting in their life with everyone, including their boy. And I do that by helping them to manage and teach them to manage their mind so that when anything comes up in life, they know how to handle it and they don't bring it into their relationships. So I'm so excited. I just saw my son score in soccer last night, my middle son, and do an assist. I was so excited. He was so good. And my other one got into the finals for hockey. So I'm so excited this week to cheer them on. You know, as they're getting older, this is becoming more fun. When they were little, you know, the whole crowd chased the ball and it was different, right? So I'm getting into that stage where it's really fun. So I wanted to talk to you if you are feeling like you're just a mom and you're a stay-at-home mom and the way you describe yourself, and when people ask you, like, do you work? You say, no, you're just a mom. And if you're feeling shame about it, right? If we describe ourselves like just a mom, I know that when I'm in that space that I describe myself just a mom, I don't feel good about myself. And I am a little bit ashamed that I'm nothing more. And I wanted to address that problem, talk to you about it, and show you two different sides of that same coin, okay? And I've had conversations with people about it recently with different people, and we all kind of sometimes do that. And I want you to just be aware of it and know what your other options are and how you can think about it, because the truth is you're not just a mom and you do an incredible job and you have different ways of how you can feel about it, right? Based on how you think about it. So if you're just a mom, you feel ashamed, and how you show up to that job is doing like a half-assed job. That's how I would describe it, because you don't appreciate all the things you do. You don't even think or recognize all the things that you do. You just do them. Meanwhile, you're in a crappy mood. You're not wanting to do them. You're dreading doing them. You're kind of like in a victim-y mode. You're just kind of executing things that have to be done. And I think the biggest symptom of when you're feeling like living in just a mom space, you're not planning and anticipating and doing any kind of proactive taking care of your future self or the job. You are doing day to day, you're more in a reactive mode, you're less into a proactive mode. Okay? So as things come up, like dinners are not planned, you don't buy groceries in advance for dinners, you're running grocery store every day, you are behind, you're not organized, and you're just kind of doing bare minimum. And when you're taking time off for yourself, you feel a little bit guilty. So everything is just kind of so yucky and mediocre that because you're just a mom, right? Like maybe you should go get a job. You don't have an office job like everyone else. So really no one appreciates what you do. It's all invisible jobs that you're doing. You know, everyone just notices what you do when you don't do it, right? Like when the floor is dirty, everyone like, oh, mom, why is the floor so dirty? And when you show up like that to your life, what you're creating for yourself is a job that sucks. The job that nobody wants, nobody appreciates, you don't appreciate it, you don't do a good job, you don't want to do it, you are not enjoying your job as a mom. The other option is, and I talked about it with this one mom, is when actually, like a lot of us, when we apply for jobs and we have taken maybe 10 years out of our career to raise a family, when we do a resume, we put on the resume for those 10 years a house manager or something along the lines of like managing a family, house manager, stay-at-home mom, right? But this specific person put down a house manager. And when her and I talked, she said, you know what? After talking to you, I feel like the way you talk about being a stay-at-home mom is elevated. It's appreciated. It's valued. And so when I put down on my resume house manager, I wrote it down, but I didn't actually mean it. And I didn't actually see it until now. And why that happens is because we don't believe it, right? We're staying in the just a mom mindset, and we don't see any of the work we do. Even though we do it, we're still doing it. We just don't see it. We don't recognize it. We don't value it. We don't appreciate it. We're just like a zombie, doing it. But if we look at it, and the best way I know how to look at it easily, get to that perspective is if something happens to you and you have to replace you would have to hire someone to do it. If you have to hire someone to do it, what would the conditions be? How much would you pay them? What would be their working hours? What would be their responsibilities? And when you look at it that way, it's a huge job, a huge responsibility, and it would be paid accordingly, right? All the evenings and weekends and nights and early mornings and all the planning and different skill sets of like a chef, a driver, a teacher, and a nurse. All of those things are actually a job if you were to hire someone else. How much would you pay them? Like when I have a helper. She helps me. Comes over to my house every week to clean my house. I pay her $30 right now an hour. And I'm very fortunate to be able to do that. I do appreciate that. And when she cannot do it, I do it. But I do appreciate that. That is valuable to me. That's why I pay money for it. And if I were to do it, I would also value me doing that as much as I value her doing it. So it helps me have the perspective of this is actually a job. This is a job you show up for. This is a job that's needed, valued, appreciated, and I can feel that same way when I do similar jobs in my house for my family. And I also, have her babysit, which is also valuable and appreciated. So when I'm not watching my kids, then she has to, and she gets paid. So when I'm taking care of my kids, that is a job. I approach it in my mindset as a job that has value in the world, just like any other office job or professional job. Okay. So when I look at it through the lens of this is a job that someone else get paid for, I start to value my effort, my time, my approach, my willingness to do it. Just the fact that I'm willing to do it, I appreciate it. I take it seriously. And when I take it seriously and I appreciate it, guess what I do? I start planning to do a good job. I start planning on how I will do the job. I start planning the dinners. I start planning if I need to outsource any job, I start planning that. I start planning and anticipating my needs because I'm the one doing the job, right? If I'm going to be doing a morning shift and an afternoon shift, then I need to make sure I take care of myself during the day because that's my time off. And then I take it seriously. I don't just see myself just a mom. I see myself as this person who is running a household, taking care of 6 people, planning all of the things that are specific to each person. Like, think of if you had to do that for a different family. That is a huge undertaking. If you had to come in and plan all of the activities for 6 people, all the food for 6 people, all of the different needs with provisioning for them and taking care of their medical needs, taking care of their social calendars and what they need to take to their birthday parties, right? If you had to do that for a different family, you would think twice, do I want to do this? This sounds like a pretty huge commitment, pretty huge job. And if I will do it, then I'm actually going to see it as like a full-time job, right? I'm going to get paid as a full-time job, right? We are in a community where we know families who have full-time nannies who do this. I had a full-time nanny who helped me for the first 6 years of my twins' life because all my kids were little and I needed full-time support. So having her help and paying for her full time gave me an unbelievable gift of appreciation for this job because I had to pay for it. I had to pay for her help. So now that I'm doing it without her full-time help, I sure as heck am taking that appreciation and valuing that activity with me everywhere. Every single activity, every single errand I run, I don't call it, like I'm buying shorts. In my head, I call it like provisioning. When I'm buying something for my kids, I take it seriously because I am here to take care of my family, run a household, bring up boys. And it is a big job with high demands, and I am here for it. Instead of diminishing everything to, I'm just a mom. Like that is such an insult from me to myself when I ignore all the things that I do and saying, oh, I'm just a mom. Basically, assuming that, this is just what a mom does. Sure, yes, that's true. And if the mom wasn't to do it and my husband had to find a replacement for me, he would have to pay a lot of money to do all the things that I do, right? Sure, some people can't hire a replacement, right? We're not replaceable as a mom, but all the activities that we do would cost money. So when I talk to myself like that, like I'm just a mom, it feels so hurtful because I completely ignore all the things that I'm doing and I just sum them up in one word. I'm just a mom, right? So I want you to not talk to yourself in a way that you're just a mom. I want you to feel the privilege of being able to be a stay-at-home mom, to be able to do this job that doesn't pay dollars, but it does pay in results. It does pay in jobs done. It does pay in dinners made. It does pay in all the things that are accomplished when you take care of a household. And those jobs have value in the marketplace. We just don't get money for it. If you look at it this way, you can say, I am saving us, let's say, $50,000 a year in salary or $75,000, right? Whatever, however many, like for me, I have 4 kids. That would be a big job to manage 4 kids. So instead of feeling shame about being just a mom and thinking of it that way, I want to invite you to think of it as a valued activity, a house manager, whatever you want to call it. But even when you're like cleaning a cutting board, I want you to appreciate that you are showing up for that job, and it is the job that your whole family needs you to do. And when you show up in that way, you will, when you take time off, you will not feel guilty for taking time off. You will feel like you fully deserve it, like every other 9-to-5er. When they have an office job and they have a weekend, yes, you bet that they take their time off, right? And so when I appreciate my job, it makes it so much easier and more natural for me to appreciate the jobs that all of my other family members have. Like my husband, I want to give him time off during the weekend when he's home because I know that he was working 9-to-5 all week, right? And I take my time during the week. When my kids have jobs, the way I look at it is that my kids' jobs are to go to school, to, they have like brush their teeth, cut their nails, do their bed, clean up their room, help around the house if needed. And my big boys have dishwashers to unload. So when I talk to them that way, I tell them we're a family, everyone has their jobs, and you need to do your job. And I don't make it dependent on the allowance I give them. I make it dependent on the fact that your family needs clean dishes in the cupboard. If you didn't unload the dishwasher, then we don't have clean dishes. And so they do the dishes. And my little kids set the table for dinner. If they don't do their job, then we don't have napkins and forks and knives. So I make it dependent on like natural consequences. And as I'm talking, I just realized that I make it sound like, oh my gosh, I have it all figured out. And it's like, look at me, I'm all pro. And of course, that's not the case. Of course, it took me years and years of not feeling this way and getting coached and talking and unappreciating what I do. And talking to myself like, oh, I'm just a mom. I do nothing. Like when people used to ask me, oh, what do you do? Oh, like, oh, I'm just a mom. Or saying, I'm a coach, but I'm a stay-at-home mom, right? It took me years of failing at this and not at all appreciating what I'm doing to now know the difference, right? To now know that it feels super shitty to not see any work that you do. And to when people ask you, oh, do you work? You say no. And then in your own head, you walk away and you think, how can I say I don't work when I work all the time? This doesn't make any sense. It feels like an insult, like saying, oh, all the things you've done, oh, well, they don't count because you didn't go to the office 9 to 5 and you didn't get a salary. Well, that's just such a smack in the face from yourself that you feel so unappreciated that you say, well, fuck it. I don't want to do, sorry for swearing, I don't want to do anything then. My kids and my husband, they're too busy to appreciate what I'm doing. I don't appreciate what I'm doing. Then why am I doing this? That feels terrible. It feels like there's no point in doing anything. So that's why I am speaking to this, to get you out of shame, to get you to appreciate every single little thing that you do. Even when you open an email and it says fill out a permission form for your child, that is a job that is needed, valued, and appreciated. By whom? By you, because you want to take care of your child. You want your child to go on a field trip or whatever they're doing, right? That you want to do a good job. You want your child to go. You want that job to be done. You're doing it. You're spending your time. Now it is also your job to appreciate what you're doing. Okay? And it's so interesting. Like every night, one of my little kids asks me, Mom, what'd you do today? And at first I was so touched when he would ask me that because, as a mom, like I found everyone's just too busy to ask me, well, what did you do? Especially me, my husband, like we are just busy taking care of the family and doing everything we need, that by the end of the day, we're too tired to chat. So we chat in the morning and we talk to each other and say how we're doing. But in the evening, we're just want to, hug each other and just not talk. So when my little one asked me that, I thought it was so sweet and so amazing. And I told him all the things that I did, and he would be counting them on his fingers. So now it's like a game that we do every night that he asks me what I did, and I tell him all the things I did, and he counts them. And he says, oh, Mom, it was 14 things today. And sometimes he says, oh, you need to get 10 each day, and then I'll give you a prize. He's so sweet. So, and I noticed my reaction to that was like, I didn't care. I'm like, oh yeah, 10, 15. That was one of my reactions. But the other reaction was like, oh, like those are a lot of things that I did. Sometimes it was 20 things a day, right? And why am I not impressed and appreciating as much as I should, right? Look at me. Like I did so many things, took care of so many things, and I'm running a business and I'm creating a podcast. Like, look at me, right? That gave me a chance to look at all the things I did from the outside, from my son's perspective, from even just a number perspective. So I want to encourage you to also not miss, I want you to actually see the things that you're doing, not be blind to them and not do them on autopilot. Just driving your kids to school. There's one thing right there. Okay, guys. So preach session is over. You don't have to feel ashamed. You can be proud. You can take pride in the work that you do, even if you're just a stay-at-home mom. But you can do it from such an elevated place where you feel like you are doing an incredible job, a job that's so valued. And if you're not doing that job, you would see the gap. you would see, okay, this job is needed. This job is valued. I would pay money someone else to do this job because it's so important to me. It's actually so important to me that I'm going to do this. All right, guys, you know where to find me. Get coached. Figure out your shame, and you can feel better. You can start appreciating what you do. And of course, when you feel good about yourself, when you feel good about your job, then of course you're not going to start fights with other people because you already feel at peace, you feel proud, you feel appreciated in your job, right? So get coached. My website is www.coachingnatalia.com. Go to sign up for a free mini session and we'll chat. I love you all. Have a great week. Bye.